privilege and an honor to undertake this responsibility. I want to express my heartfelt gratitude on behalf of the government to all those who dedicated their time and energy to contribute meaningfully to this debate. We have examined numerous pressing matters that demand our attention and action in this deliberation. We have discussed the need for comprehensive healthcare reform to ensure the well-being of our citizens. We have deliberated on strategies to foster sustainable economic growth and create employment opportunities for our people. We have explored ways to strengthen our education system and equip our youth with the skills they need to thrive in a rapidly evolving world. We have explored security and legal measures aimed at enhancing the security of our people and, importantly, safeguarding the rights of our people. These, Madam Speaker, are just few examples of the critical issues brought to the forefront during this debate. I want to sincerely thank my esteemed parliamentary colleagues for their valuable contribution throughout this year's debate. And I think we can say that our Prime Minister, the Most Honourable Andrew Holness, has given and maintained the steady hand and sterling leadership in enabling this Parliament and the ministerial cadre to deliver on the promise to the people. Madam Speaker, it is to you also that I want to offer my heartfelt gratitude for the unwavering commitment that you have shown in steering parliamentary affairs of our nation with exceptional skill and dedication. I also want to express my gratitude to my Deputy House Leader, the Honourable Olivia Babsy-Grange, for always keeping her hand on the wheel, and of course, especially because of my own responsibilities that take me away so often to do the work that has to be done. And Honourable Olivia Grange has been there to hold the hands, and a steady hand it has been indeed. Madam Speaker, to the Clerk of the House and her very efficient team for the wonderful job that they have done in enabling the smooth running and functioning of the sectoral debate throughout. The opposition business leader himself and his team for the collaborative effort to enabling a smooth functioning throughout the process. So, Madam Speaker, as we conclude the sectoral debate, I think it is important and crucial that we reflect upon and emphasize some of the key issues that were raised during the period. Although, Madam Speaker, it is impossible to address every point in detail, I want to acknowledge the exceptional quality of the presentations and to commend the speakers for their genuine commitment and professionalism. The depth of knowledge and the spirit of constructive dialogue that permeated this debate have greatly enriched our understanding of the challenges and opportunities before us. Madam Speaker, before diving into some of the many salient issues raised in the sectoral debate, I want to quickly give a brief update on some of the major developments in the tourism industry beyond what I have already spoken of in my opening presentation. And indeed, Madam Speaker, it will be, as I said, brief indications. Madam Speaker, this period of what we call the summer in tourism, 2023, will become the most successful summer in the history of tourism in Jamaica. Madam Speaker, already even before the completion of the 6th month of this year, we have already brought in 2 million visitors to Jamaica and have earned over $2 billion for the country. Madam Speaker, this is a whopping 18% increase over 2019 earnings for the same period. And Madam Speaker, I'm sure it will be no surprise then that Jamaica is bracing for the best ever summer season. The fact has been reinforced, indeed, Madam Speaker, by the engagements which I led into the New York area, the tri-state area, Miami and Atlanta in the last few days. As you know, we responded to certain headwinds that we thought we were experiencing. And Madam Speaker, we were able to head it off, in fact, and to be able to report that we still have 1.4 million seats coming out of the rest of the markets for this summer, of which 1.2 million is from the United States of America. Madam Speaker, we were able to have discussions also with our partners in the cruise industry and have settled certain understandings with regards to our Western itinerary that you know had lagged behind because one of our partner ports in the region has not been functioning. I make no reference to name at this time, but you know these itineraries are influenced by a number of ports of call. And if one port is out of whack, it disrupts the itinerary. And so Jamaica has had a little hiccup there in terms of getting back to the levels of 2019 that we had anticipated. The truth is, however, Madam Speaker, is that we are now about 80% of 2019 for cruise, and that is a very strong position to be in. But to just indicate that in our discussions, we had to look at the main port for us of Falmouth. And I will have a lot more to say about what both Port Authority and ourselves will have to do, along with the town and the citizens of Falmouth, to bring that port to become a corner, what they call a cornerstone port, that will anchor the entire itinerary, so that whatever the discussions are, the itinerary remains strong because the anchor is there and solid. The anchor for our Western itinerary was another port, somewhere else, that is not functioning as well at this time. And that's the reason for that disruption. So we are going to be working assiduously over the next few weeks, months, to ensure that we bring Falmouth to that level where it can be regarded as a cornerstone port for the Western itinerary. Madam Speaker, the issues, therefore, of moving forward with tourism has been very well structured around technical arrangements. And part of it has to do, Madam Speaker, with initiatives that we know are engaged in terms of building strategic arrangements and to reinforce the action plan that we had initiated at an earlier period. As a result of that, Madam Speaker, we are pleased to advise that the Inter-American Development Bank has become the technical partner for us as we seek to develop a robust and well-defined tourism strategy and action plan, which will serve as a roadmap for a successful tourism future. This strategy, Madam Speaker, addresses the important issues of economic growth and inclusion, environmental sustainability, cultural preservation, human capital development, and maintaining the balance between the quality of a visitor experience and the quality of our lives as citizens of the country. And I wanted to emphasize this latter one, Madam Speaker, because the essence of tourism is not about the tourists. The essence of tourism is about the people of the destination, the people of Jamaica. This tourism strategy, Madam Speaker, is also as good as you know, as the partnerships that we have. Therefore, we will be collaborating with our key stakeholders and tourism partners in ensuring that this effort works and that it works quickly and well. To this end, we have begun a series of island-wide workshops to obtain valuable feedback and insights that will help shape the direction of the future of our tourism initiatives. We have already held successful workshops in Montego Bay, Port Antonio, and Ocho Rios, and we have workshops that are planned for all the other resort areas across Jamaica. The second area of this critical structure that we have developed is to build out the destination assurance framework and strategy. And this, Madam Speaker, is a historic activity. This is a groundbreaking activity on the part of Jamaica, because we are the only destination in the world that has and will have a destination assurance policy. And this, Madam Speaker, when we thought it through at the beginning, we brought some international consultants and to talk about it from George Washington University and elsewhere. They never heard of destination assurance. They heard about destination management and they heard about all sorts of other related matters with destination. But destination assurance as a strategy essentially says that you are making a promise to the market that when you come to our destination, you'll have a safe, secure, and seamless experience. And that was the big 3 S's that Jamaica brought to the table. And Madam Speaker, we have started out that, and for good works, we've been able to develop a green paper on it, which Cabinet has already approved and has come here to the Parliament. And now we are undertaking a stakeholder consultation with the aim of finalizing the framework and strategy as a white paper for tabling in the Parliament in this current financial year. Madam Speaker, the stakeholder engagements have been 95% complete, and we have been on the road. And with all of being moving from one market location to another, we have also been moving from one part of Jamaica to the other. And we have had a 95% completion in terms of consultations in Negril, Montego Bay, Ocho Rios, Treasure Beach, Mandeville, and Kingston. And on Thursday, I go to St. Thomas, and on Friday, we do Port Antonio in Portland. Madam Speaker, so the first cohort of the Tourism Enhancement Incubator Program, and I think that this is something we spoke about in my earlier presentation, and it's again another earth-shaking and innovative move by Jamaica, which is the only destination which has a tourism innovation incubator. And we have worked with the University of Technology, utilizing their labs, and we've been able to bring together, Madam Speaker, 11 teams with 11 unique business ideas that are now participating in the venture. And I wanted to make the point about the innovation incubator because tourism is driven by ideas. And as we speak about experiences and the future of the destination has to be driven by experiences. There's no question about it. Experiences are going to be derived because new ideas have come into play. New systems have been brought into play. New attractions are there. New methodologies, new business models, new ways in which people are using their skills and their knowledge to create products which respond to the passions of people. Because that's why people travel. They travel to fulfill their passions. And therefore, we must build products around their passion points. And once you do that, then your market will always be strong and your destination will become to mind. So, Madam Speaker, we have had so far a 10-month program with these incubatees, and that program will end with a highly anticipated pitch event. And I think those of you who have been looking around on incubation activities will recognize what a pitch event is. And this pitch event, Madam Speaker, brings a group of potential business partners and investors and funding agencies together. The goal of this event is to secure sufficient interest from key stakeholders, which will hopefully result in business arrangements. The pitch event is slated to take place in September of 2023. And by the end of the program, participants would have validated their business ideas, determining whether to continue as planned or to pivot, and in some cases, develop businesses to be fully operational. Madam Speaker, this is what we're saying. Ideas converted into material things with a value and a price. What we are saying is that we are incentivizing ideas, and we have put together the $40 million from last budget, which brought these 11 teams together. And now their ideas are at the stage where we can bring partners in to bind to the ideas. And so there are 3 stages now that they will go to after this. And that is to either go now into equity partnership. That is to say, these young people from different parts of Jamaica, from different socioeconomic backgrounds, who only asset is ideas, we've been able to say to them, now that your ideas have reached that point of conversion, you can decide whether you're going for equity partnership. Are you going to work with somebody and have them become partners with you in realizing your entrepreneurial dream? Or are you going to be acquired by a business? In other words, are you going to offer your product now to a business, to a going concern, to buy into you, like the fish tank arrangement, the sharks? Yeah, the shark tank, as we say, right? Or thirdly, are you going to access now a loan funding arrangement through our tourism innovation facility? And so that facility, Madam Speaker, we've put $100 million from our TEF funds. And you know, we had that arrangement with the Exim Bank, that where we put $1 billion there, and that $1 billion is a revolving, has accreted earnings that allow us now to be able to take $100 million from that to make that available to these young people with new ideas for tourism development. And so we are going to establish now, Madam Speaker, what we call the Tourism Innovation Challenge. And the team at the TEF have been working assiduously to secure the necessary partnerships and approval to operationalize this arrangement. And this will then be a loan and a grant combination. So what we're looking at is probably a 90-10. There was a talk about a 70-30, but we realize the difficulty because these young people who are coming, their asset is ideas. So the minute you begin to talk, and they have a ceiling of up to $10 million of exposure. So if you say 70-30, it means they have to find $3 million. And they just leave school, or they're just coming out of where they can find $3 million from. So we're looking at a 90-10 arrangement. And, Madam Speaker, we believe that the loan component, and we've been talking to private sector entities that can also absorb this arrangement and to treat it in the way that they treated the program that we have for the small business, where, you know, the small tourism enterprises can borrow up to $5 million from certain financial institutions at a low interest rate of 3%. And a repayment period of 5 years. And they can then be able to replenish their stock, buy a new car, you know, repair their broken facilities, and to be able to function efficiently and well in the industry. So, Madam Speaker, the requisite MOU has been drafted and will be submitted to Cabinet for approval. And the facility, we hope, will become operational in the third quarter of this fiscal year. Madam Speaker, I feel very strongly about this because in creating the new entrepreneurial group for tourism, we are going to have to make sure that our young people have a chance, and so that the future of tourism is not going to be locked into external arrangements and necessarily more and more foreign investors, but more and more local investment into the tourism sector. Madam Speaker, having had the experience of managing the industry through the pandemic, the government will be more strategic about gathering evidence to make decisions about how to optimize the economic, social, and environmental and infrastructure benefits of the tourism investment. During the coming year, my ministry will conduct a tourism economic impact study which seeks to identify the economic, fiscal, social, and environmental impact of the development of an additional 20,000 new rooms to the Jamaican stock. Madam Speaker, this advent of 20,000 new rooms over the next 5 to 10 years will be the largest single investment flow in the tourism in history in Jamaica. And it will be done under this administration, the Andrew Holness administration of Jamaica. So, Madam Speaker, the study will identify and evaluate the potential impact of the proposed development on gross domestic product, foreign exchange earnings, investment, and government revenue and expenditure. It will identify and evaluate the potential impact of the proposed development on income and employment, both direct and indirect, It will identify and evaluate the potential impact of the proposed development on key related sectors such as agriculture, construction, manufacturing, and entertainment. It will identify and evaluate the potential impact of the proposed development on infrastructure needs, the environment and the people, particularly, Madam Speaker, housing, transport, and recreation. Madam Speaker, it will provide recommendations to mitigate potential negative impacts while capitalizing on positive impacts. That is to say, Madam Speaker, to look at the carrying capacity for the areas that are going to have these new hotels and these new attractions, and to make sure that the imposition of these assets within those areas is that have a negative impact on the environment itself. And finally, Madam Speaker, to provide a credible, rigorous, evidence-based information system to inform the public of the awareness and value of the tourism industry to Jamaica. Madam Speaker, this is the most substantial increase in room stock over the shortest period of time in the history of Jamaica, and it represents a unique transformative moment, and we must seize the moment to obtain the maximum social and economic benefit. Madam Speaker, just to close that section, to indicate if tourism today, with 30,000 rooms as we are, is a driver of the economic growth process and is contributing such a large portion, not only of GDP, but of the growth on an annualized as well as a quarterly basis. Think of what 20,000 more rooms will do in terms of the impact that it will have on our economy and the well-being of our people. So, Madam Speaker, there can be no development of this magnitude without an emphasis on how tourism links into the other elements of the economy. Because, as you know, tourism doesn't exist on its own. It exists only because many other elements are existing and performing well. So, Madam Speaker, the Tourism Linkage Network under the Tourism Enhancement Fund has expanded to include various industries that contribute to the growth of our sector. Agriculture, Madam Speaker, plays a crucial role in supporting tourism. So through the Agro-Linkage Network, ALIX as we call it, small farmers are directly connected with the buyers in the tourism industry, benefiting, of course, the local agricultural economy. In the first 5 months of this year, Madam Speaker, farmers achieved a remarkable milestone by generating a revenue of approximately $325 million through the ALIX platform. This significant accomplishment, Madam Speaker, showcases the platform's effectiveness in connecting farmers with potential buyers and creating prosperous opportunities. Furthermore, in the preceding year of 2022, the ALIX portal facilitated the sale of agricultural produce valued at $330 million. So, Madam Speaker, just to indicate the growth in this area, in that a full year of 2022 generated $330 million, and half a year, less than half a year, 5 months of 2023 has already accrued $325 million of sales for the farmers of Jamaica. This achievement, Madam Speaker, not only highlights the platform's success, but also underscores the positive impact it has had on the livelihood of 1,733 farmers and 671 registered buyers. And, Madam Speaker, think of what 20,000 more rooms will do in terms of doubling, tripling, and quadrupling even that kind of impact on our farming community. Madam Speaker, we developed also the Agriculture Food Safety Manual and conducted sensitization sessions with over 400 farmers. So through the Tourism Linkages Network, water shortage and drought periods were identified as barriers for community farmers supplying the tourism sector. To address this, we donated water tanks to farmers in St. Elizabeth, St. James, St. Anne and Trelawney. In the first phase, 50 tanks were given to farmers in St. Elizabeth, 20 to farmers in St. James, and in the second phase, 200 tanks were donated to farmers in St. Ann and Trelawney. We will continue this initiative in 2023 to support small farmers while spreading the tourism benefits to all. Madam Speaker, the tourism sector continues to be hampered, as you know, by the issues relating to supply chain disruptions, particularly in terms of human capital. So the Ministry's training arm, the Jamaica Center for Tourism Innovation, in response to this situation, is proposing a strategy for attracting new recruits and helping them prepare for available jobs. Madam Speaker, with the support from our partners, the JCTI is moving to recruit team members from among our students graduating from high school. And I think that members should recall that we have, for the first time, a tourism associate degree program in hotel management and customer service for the sixth formers of 30 high schools across Jamaica. The goal, of course, is to attract 2,000 and to, in fact, go in the end to 3,000 candidates. So, Madam Speaker, the JCTI is a division of the Tourism Enhancement Fund, and we have been partnering with HEART NTA to develop a job readiness program specifically for new entrants to the tourism sector. Successful candidates will receive, of course, the NCT VET certificate. And, of course, they will participate in the Level 4 program, which the Prime Minister announced in his budget presentation. Madam Speaker, in addition to these successful initiatives, the Hospitality and Tourism Management Program is another critical component of the government's Human Capital Development Initiative. In June of last year, 99 high school students completed the 2-year program and received their certificates from the American Hotel and Lodging Institute. One of those from Anchovy High School in your constituency, Member Davis in St. James, had a perfect score of 100 out of 100, and now she is properly placed in job in a proper facility in tourism. Madam Speaker, the result of this, of course, is that the 168 students from last year's program found jobs immediately in 3 of the outstanding hotels in Jamaica. And the third cohort, which we expect to graduate later this year, Madam Speaker, they have 303 students that are in 14 high schools across Jamaica. 150 of these students, Madam Speaker, who are 18 years and older, are doing their internship now at Sandals, at Altamont Court, at AC Marriott, and at Gulfview Hotel. The hoteliers are excited to meet these young people and have all been placed in departments of their choice. And Madam Speaker, we are concluding our discussions now with UTEC, with the University of Malaga, and with the university in Austria to establish programs for the supervisory and management layers within the industry so that our Jamaicans will be trained and developed to assume the responsibility for the highest level of leadership in the tourism industry of the future. Madam Speaker, the Tourism Product Development Company is committed to community tourism, which goes beyond the traditional tourist hotspots and venture into the heart of several neighborhoods. By investing in the development of community-based tourism, TPDCO recognizes the potential for sustainable economic growth. By investing in the development of community-based tourism, TPDCO recognizes the potential for sustainable economic growth, job creation, and the preservation of cultural heritage. Now, Madam Speaker, as we continue to work with the communities to spread their participation in tourism, I am delighted to share with you an extraordinary development that promises to transform the cultural landscape of Trenchtown. And I was there, the member from South St. Andrew wasn't able to join us there, but that's shocking because I was there and I asked. But it's all you know where I am concerned. So, and in fact, it's the Vin Lawrence Center in Trenchtown. And what we did there was to look at underutilized space. And through the Spruce Up program, we work with communities to build now new attractions. And this is a program that is going across Jamaica. This one is completed, Madam Speaker, and what it has done, the visitors will have an opportunity to delve in the heart and soul of the community, experiences its music, its art, its cuisine, and captivating the stories firsthand. As visitors wander through the parks and pathway, they will be treated to vibrant murals depicting the iconic figures who have emerged from Trenchtown area. And when you go down there, you see, the last time I was there with you. So I'm surprised, really, this time that you weren't there. And the place looks good. It is really a very attractive-looking thing. It's your community, so we'll deal with that. So, Madam Speaker, these are larger-than-life artworks that pay homage to the rich musical heritage that was born in that very community. And so when I went there, we saw the Bob Marley imagery, and we went to, of course, the yard, culture yard, where Georgie made the firelight, you know, and we were able to see that what has happened now is that a creation is there of a studio that the ordinary person can now come in, and we also have a rehearsal room in the area. And then there is a platform for a stage for presentation, and we are going to be landscaping the area, and it will look good indeed. So, Madam Speaker, that's just a start. We plan to have a number of them in other parts of the country where these will be attractions. And that's part of what I think a few members of Parliament who have already indicated to us through their Spruce Up allocation for activities such as these, we will see more of them happening. Madam Speaker, the future of tourism is bright, but it's also predicated, Madam Speaker, on development in the digital space and an understanding of what the Internet of Things is going to be and how that is going to impact the experience of tourism across the road. Jamaica, therefore, is collaborating with the World Bank in developing and conducting a regional study on the future of tourism in the Caribbean. And this study will guide us in creating a sustainable and integrated Caribbean tourism space. And Jamaica wants to be the leader in that process, not just in terms of thought leadership, but to give guidance to how a true tourism economy can emerge and make a difference to the life and well-being of people. Madam Speaker, let me turn now to look at the responses from our various presentations throughout this very strong, powerful, and ebullient period of debate and discussions in this Honourable House. Madam Speaker, the Office of the Prime Minister, with direction then from the Minister without Portfolio, the Honourable Floyd Green, indicated the plans of the government to eliminate the need for life certificates to verify the living status of prisoners. This will be pensioners. I'm sorry, Madam Speaker. It's the Minister, but there are people too, right? This will be done, Madam Speaker, instead of by way of introducing a new national civil registration electronic-based solution that will be facilitated through the inception of the National Identification Needs Project. Furthermore, Madam Speaker, under the NIDS, project on construction and setup of the Registrar General Department Record Digitization and Indexing Facility has been achieved within wherein it will be utilizing a digital and digitized index, and we will have more than 2,300 civil records that will be brought under this arrangement. The project will digitize all the records of the RGD, and of course, and that will begin from 1930 to present. And that is really a massive undertaking, and we want to commend the Minister for that work. No, that's yours here. NIDS has also launched a technical pilot program to stimulate and forecast the implications of its implementation so that the necessary adjustments can be made before its full rollout. Furthermore, Madam Speaker, in order to meet the needs of visually impaired customers, the RGD will be embarking on printing birth certificates in Braille. The RGD also plans to implement mechanisms to facilitate online will drafting, which is aimed at making it easier for people to write wills and register them so as to significantly reduce family or relational conflicts over the distribution of assets within an estate. Madam Speaker, the RGD has also expanded the location of its branches so as to make it easier for citizens to utilize their services no matter where they live. Furthermore, the RGD plans to integrate more automation and technology into its operation so as to reduce processing times. Madam Speaker, this simple but powerful statement indicates how effective the NIDS will be in ensuring facilitation of the ordinary persons in Jamaica for the services that are offered in the nation. Madam Speaker, the government is preparing to implement a 40 billion road improvement project to modernize more than 2,000 roads island-wide under the shared prosperity through accelerated improvement to our road network, otherwise called the SPARK program. The Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, the Honourable Everett Warmington, noted that government is moving to ensure that the engine of growth is improved, modernized, and positioned to perform at its optimum. The Minister noted that the vision is to create a transport network that is safe, efficient, and reliable to meet the Jamaica's economic and social needs. Key objectives of the program, Madam Speaker, include improving the targeted road surfaces and intersections along targeted urban corridors, installing legalized drainage, culverts, etc., improving road safety through the construction of retaining walls and the installation of guardrails and the installing of pedestrian facilities at selected locations. The expected outcome include, Madam Speaker, improved road safety, better legalized drainage, and reduced travel time, vehicle operating cost, and motor vehicle carbon emissions. The Minister, Madam Speaker, informed that under the initiative, the preliminary parish breakdown of expenditure will be as follows: Kingston for $2 billion, St. Andrew $2.9 billion, St. Catherine $4.2 billion, St. Thomas $1.2 billion, Manchester $1.257 billion, St. Elizabeth $1.5 billion, Clarendon $4.087 billion, Portland $1 billion, St. Mary $3.2 billion, St. Anne $3.2 billion, Hanover $2.5 billion, St. James $2.2 billion, Trelawney $1.8, and Westmoreland $2 billion. Madam Speaker, this will be the most comprehensive road maintenance, repair, and rehabilitation program in the history of Jamaica. Some of the roads to be rehabilitated include the Mountain View Avenue, Old Hope Road, Mullines Road, Walton Park Road, Constant Spring to Stony Hill, Caymanas to Twickenham Park, Spanish Town to Angels, Tamarind Farm to Nago Heads, Moran Crossing to Whitehall, Airy Mount to Hampton Court, Port Moran to Bath, Caledonia Road, Spurtree Hills to Gutters, Williamsfield to Greenvale via bypass, and Loana to Black River to Scotts Cove, Malvern to Santa Cruz, and Loana to Sandy Ground. Other roads include Freetown to Four Parts, Crooked River to Pennant Dowse, Whitney Turn to Four Parts, Hope Bay to Orange Bay, Orange Bay to Windsor Castle, Rio Grande to Hope Bay, Halifax Bridge to Lucky Hill to Goshen, Port Maria to Islington, Alexandria to Brownstown, Discovery Bay to Brownstown, Ocho Township, Great River to Kew Bridge, Green Island to Negril, Lucy to Green Island, Adelphi to Kent, I think that's familiar, Barnett Street to Howard Cook Boulevard, Flanker Old Road, Albert Town to all sides, Duncans to Long Pond, Salt Marsh to Kent, and Negril to the parish border, and then Ferris to George's Plain. I think I know that place. And Negril to Negril Lighthouse. Madam Speaker, Jamaica has several housing programs in place. Under the National Housing Policy and Implementation Plan, 57,000 houses are in various stages of development. The new social housing program, NSHP, has seen the construction of 137 units, which have benefited 523 Jamaicans. And Madam Speaker, we want to emphasize that, because that is a direct response from our Prime Minister recognizing the social need that exists at the lowest economic stratum in this country of people who have no means but have availability of some land. And we can move in and provide this social housing initiative and enable small families that otherwise would have nowhere to rest, have a comfortable place to sleep, and their children can grow in decency. Madam Speaker, we really want to commend our Prime Minister for that initiative because it is making a huge difference across Jamaica. And for those who are of another mind, we want it to be clear. The Prime Minister goes into every constituency across Jamaica dealing with this program, irrespective of who is representing that constituency, whatever color, creed, or class it right. Notable too, Madam Speaker, the Urban Development Corporation is spearheading the Caymanas commercial and housing development, which is expected to provide affordable housing and commercial properties. Also, Madam Speaker, as of March 31, 2023, 10,626 titles have been issued under the National Titling Program. Madam Speaker, the importance of titles as a representation to show the ownership, but more important, Madam Speaker, to give capacity to convert dead capital into wealth is something that is at the heart of the prosperity agenda of the administration of Andrew Holness. And we are excited about ensuring that more and more of our people will have this legal representation, which will allow them to utilize that asset to leverage economic wealth, whether through loans or through other types of economic activity. And they can pass on at the end to their children, their grandchildren, and their great-grandchildren a piece of the wealth that they generated while they were alive. And this is great, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, further, the Factories Corporation of Jamaica is in the process of creating an additional 1.5 million square feet of rentable space for modern infrastructure for retail, manufacturing, government services, logistics, and BPO industries to optimize its non-performing assets. Additionally, construction on the talked about new Houses of Parliament, Madam Speaker, will begin in the second quarter of 2023-2024 financial year, and it is slated to be completed in 2025. I'll have a little more to say on that when we talk about the Parliament. The government has also, Madam Speaker, distributed water tanks across the island in a bid to increase access to water. NWC is also working to replace aged transmission lines along several corridors under the South Coast Highway Improvement Program and have completed the Spanish Town Road transmission main replacement with the Royal Port Royal Transmission Replacement Project to begin very soon. Extending, Madam Speaker, NWC's range would see its services being extended to rural and peri-rural communities, for example, with the Greater Mandeville Water Supply Improvement Project. The wastewater treatment plants in St. Thomas, Portland, St. Mary, St. Catherine, and Clarendon, Madam Speaker, will also be upgraded to ensure safe public health conditions for all. Madam Speaker, I would like to touch on a significant initiative that was announced by my colleague, Minister of Education and Youth, the Honourable Favour Williams. She indicated the work of the Jamaica Education Transformation Commission that it continues with focus on transformational efforts covering governance, administration, leadership, and legislation. early childhood education, curriculum teaching and teacher training, and tertiary sector through the TVET, infrastructure and technology and finance. These are very hefty. We're doing well.
Madam Speaker, I ask that the Minister be allowed sufficient time to complete his presentation.
Members, the question before the House is that the Minister be given sufficient time to complete his presentation. Those in favour? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'd just like to repeat that element because I think that the work of the Jamaica Education Transformation Commission, which the Minister spoke so passionately about, continues, Madam Speaker, with focus on transformational efforts covering governance, administration, leadership and legislation, early childhood education, curriculum, teaching and teacher training, the tertiary sector, the TVET, infrastructure, technology, and finance. Madam Speaker, in addition, Minister Williams pointed out that the Education Act and Regulation is in need of amendment. Therefore, a working draft of legislative proposals and a draft cabinet submissions have already been prepared. She indicated, Madam Speaker, that Cabinet has also approved the development of a national children's policy, which will provide a comprehensive legislative framework in relation to children issues in Jamaica. Work continues on the National Plan of Action for an integrated response to children and violence. With this in mind, several legislations are under review, namely the Child Care and Protection Act and Regulation, the Child Care and Protection Act Section 24, the Children Adoption of Act, and the Children's Guardianship and Custody Act. Other policies, Madam Speaker, that the Ministry is working on are the Student Dress and Grooming Policy, Special Education Policy, the National Safe School Policy, the National School Nutrition Policy, the Language Policy, and the Higher Education Policy. Madam Speaker, in closing, she spoke eloquently of the transformation program which is being headed by Professor Orlando Patterson, and I see that the new director of the program, Dr. Alexander, has just been installed and put in place. Madam Speaker, we heard her this morning, and she sounds eloquent and well. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Health and Wellness has been allocated a budget of approximately $6.43 billion for the fiscal year 23-24. This represents a substantial increase of some 31% compared to the previous year's allocation, demonstrating the government's dedication to strengthening our healthcare infrastructure and services. This increased investment, Madam Speaker, will enable us to further enhance healthcare delivery across the country. One notable project highlighted by the Minister of Health and Wellness, the Honourable Dr. Christopher Tufton, that exemplifies our commitment to improving healthcare facilities is the Western Children and Adolescent Hospital in St. James. The construction of this state-of-the-art facility, Madam Speaker, has progressed to the 5th floor with over $450 million already invested. We are grateful for the generous grant the People's Republic of China provided, which has made this project possible. Once completed in 2025, Madam Speaker, this hospital will stand as the only adolescent hospital in the English-speaking Caribbean and the second pediatric facility on the island. It will significantly enhance our capacity to provide specialized care to children and adolescents, raising the healthcare standards of Jamaica. But, Madam Speaker, when tied into the Cornwall Regional Hospital, that will be the largest single facility in the region and will be a huge driver of health tourism as a new dimension to the product of tourism in Western Jamaica. In addition, Madam Speaker, Minister Tufton was delighted to share once more that groundbreaking for the Spanish Town Hospital is scheduled for July 2023. With a contract price of approximately $6.4 billion, This redevelopment project will span 2 years. The revitalized hospital will significantly contribute to improve healthcare services for the residents of Spanish Town and its environs. Madam Speaker, our commitment to transforming healthcare extends beyond infrastructure development. Over the years, we've made significant investments totaling approximately $4.4 billion in more than 100 health facilities across the island. These investments have modernized and right-sized primary healthcare institutions and enabled us to meet the evolving healthcare needs of our citizens. Furthermore, the government has established over 2,000 permanent posts for doctors within the public health sector. This significant milestone, Madam Speaker, reflects our commitment to strengthening the healthcare workforce and ensuring the availability of skilled professionals to provide quality healthcare across Jamaica. Unlike short-term contracts, these permanent posts provide stability and allow for long-term planning and service delivery. This includes, Madam Speaker, 789 doctors currently in the system, with an additional of 1,112 new posts to be filled over time and 140 positions established to support the response to the COVID-19 pandemic. These, Madam Speaker, over 2,000 permanent posts will undoubtedly positively impact the quality of healthcare services for the people of Jamaica. Madam Speaker, recognizing the increasing number of high-rise buildings in urban areas, the local government and community development minister, the Honourable Edmund Bartlett, is taking proactive measures to better respond to emergencies. In this end, we have allocated funds to purchase fire trucks equipped with extended ladders. These new trucks, Madam Speaker, will reach an impressive 20 floors or 200 feet, surpassing the current fleet used by the Jamaica Fire Brigade that can reach only 10 to 12 floors or 104 seats. Madam Speaker, what is happening? This minister has now doubled the capacity of the Jamaica Fire Brigade to deal with high-rise buildings and to deal with emergencies in those buildings. And it is important because we are seeing more and more of these high-rise buildings emerging, not just in Kingston as a metropolis, but all across Jamaica. And it is important that those people who invest in these things feel that sense of safety, and that if anything happens, our fire department will be able to respond quickly, readily, and effectively. This significant upgrade, Madam Speaker, will boost our capacity to address emergency effectively and ensure the safety of occupants in high-rise buildings. The estimated cost of each truck is approximately $250 million, and the initial deployment will prioritize Kingston and Montego Bay, where a considerable number of high-rise buildings are located. Furthermore, Madam Speaker, Minister Mackenzie remains committed to the comprehensive rehabilitation of markets throughout the island. For the current financial year, the Minister has outlined an ongoing program that includes the restoration of markets, notably the Savannah Lamar Market in Westmoreland, which is already in progress, with an allocated budget of $20 million for the first phase. The total estimated cost for the rehabilitation of the Savannah Lamar Market will exceed $70 million. These efforts, Madam Speaker, demonstrate our commitment to enhancing market infrastructure, creating better trading environment, and supporting the economic viability of our local communities. Madam Speaker, since its establishment in March 1, the Constitutional Reform Committee, under the leadership of Legal and Constitutional Affairs Minister, the Honourable Marlene Malahou-Fort, has been actively engaged in its mission to provide expert guidance and oversight to the government and people of Jamaica during the constitutional reform process. The CRC is committed to implementing the recommendations of the Joint Select Committee on Constitutional and Electoral Reform, where consensus remains, and to foster consensus in other areas where it matters, so that we can have a seamless arrangement, and where there are any erosions whatsoever, Madam Speaker, that situation becomes non-existent. The committee's dedicated efforts are aimed at ensuring that the constitutional reform process is inclusive and representative of the aspirations of the Jamaican people. Madam Speaker, the Law Revision Secretariat has undertaken several significant initiatives in 2023 legislative year. These initiatives are aligned with the Secretariat's mandate to enhance the availability of legal information to the public. The Secretariat has diligently revised newly enacted and amended statutes and subsidiary legislations for 2019, 2020, and 2021. Furthermore, revised content for publication has been prepared for the printers, covering the previous years. Madam Speaker, in addition, the online versions of the revised pages of the laws of Jamaica have been updated to include content up to 2019 for subsidiary legislation and 2020 for statutes. Madam Speaker, this is very important, and I think the leader of the opposition who had responsibilities for these at one time will appreciate this, in fact, and the importance of it. So these efforts are aimed, Madam Speaker, to ensure that the legal information accessible to the public is accurate, up-to-date, and readily available. Madam Speaker, these developments reflect our commitment to transparent governance and the effective dissemination of legal information. Through advanced constitutional reform and enhancing legal resources, we aim to foster a society that is informed, empowered, and engaged in the governance and the rule of law. Madam Speaker, under the Urban Renewal and Development Program, 70 projects were approved for implementation across 55 constituencies and 9 municipalities. In addition, 6 projects were approved for execution in the zones of special operations, ZOZO, of Augustown and Savannah. Notably, we have completed 51 projects with a total expenditure of $43 million. These projects, Madam Speaker, have contributed significantly to revitalizing and transforming our urban areas, fostering community development, and improving the quality of life for residents. Furthermore, the zinc fence removal program has been a pivotal aspect of the Urban Renewal and Development Program, with approvals granted for its implementation in 6 constituencies, benefiting approximately 400 Jamaicans. This initiative enhances the aesthetics of communities and promotes safety and social cohesion. Madam Speaker, the government remains committed to the land titling program, recognizing the importance of land ownership and its social-economic implications. Over 3 years, we have pledged to raise 20,000 certificates of title, to issue, in fact, 20,000 certificates of title. I am pleased to report that as of March 31, 2023, the program has achieved an impressive 74% outturn, with 10,626 documents issued against a target of 14,400 titles. This significant milestone demonstrates our commitment to empowering Jamaicans with secure land tenure, unlocking economic opportunities, and promoting social stability. These achievements underscore dedication to community development, urban revitalization, and empowering Jamaicans through land ownership. Investing in these programs, Madam Speaker, fosters sustainable development, enhances living conditions, and provides avenues for economic growth and prosperity. Madam Speaker, the Cabinet has approved the replacement of 171.5 megawatts of power capacity for the aging power generation plant of the JPS under the right of first refusal provision. This decision, Madam Speaker, underscores Energy Minister, the Honourable Darrell Vaz's commitment to transitioning to a more sustainable, renewable energy future. We recognize the need to replace outdated power generating infrastructure with mature renewable sources as best as possible. By doing so, we are reducing our carbon footprint and paving the way for a more resilient and efficient energy sector that benefits all Jamaicans. Furthermore, Madam Speaker, I am delighted to inform this Honourable House that the government has allocated approximately $835 million for research and development in this current fiscal year. This represents an increase of $47 million, or 6% compared to the previous year's allocation. This significant investment underscores our commitment to fostering innovation, scientific advancement, and development of new technologies in Jamaica. Research and development, Madam Speaker, are critical, as is well known, and vital for driving economic growth, to promote sustainable development, and to address the challenges of our time. By increasing our investment in this crucial area, we position Jamaica as a hub for innovation and for knowledge-driven industries. Madam Speaker, we also recognize the importance of supporting the international competitiveness of our local manufacturing and productive sectors. To this end, the Ministry has granted a $28 million increase to the Scientific Research Council to upgrade its analytic labs. This investment, Madam Speaker, will enhance the capabilities of the SRC in providing state-of-the-art testing and analysis services to our industries. By improving the infrastructure and resource availability to the SRC, we are empowering our local manufacturers to meet international standards, drive innovation, and seize new market opportunities. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Mining and Transport, under the then Minister Audley Shaw, reported a remarkable rebound in Jamaica's aviation traffic. By December 2022, our aviation sector has recovered 6 million passengers, reaching 91% of the pre-COVID levels. This, Madam Speaker, this recovery is a testament to the resilience and determination of our aviation industry and reflects the successful implementation of strategies to rebuild passenger confidence. In 2020, our aviation traffic suffered a significant setback with a 67% decline, equivalent, Madam Speaker, to 2.2 million passengers. And of course, this, you know, was due to the COVID-19 pandemic. However, we have rebounded from this challenge. We are on track to achieve a total return to pre-pandemic levels by 2025, with approximately 6.5 million visitors annually between Sangsters International Airport and the Norman Manley International Airport in Kingston. Moving on to our railways, Madam Speaker, I'm delighted to share that the Jamaica Railway Corporation has generated an additional $3.67 million since introducing the pilot student service commuter trains. This commendable achievement has been made possible through train excursions extended to various schools across the island. These excursions provide unique educational experience and contribute to the JRC's financial sustainability. The pilot student service is a testament to our commitment to promoting environmentally friendly and efficient modes of transportation while engaging our youth and fostering a sense of pride in our railway system. In line with our efforts to enhance public transit services, the Jamaica Urban Transit Company, JUTC, will receive a boost of adding 50 new buses, including 45 diesel and 45 electric buses by the end of this month. The infusion of modern and environmental friendly vehicles will improve the JUTC's capacity to serve our citizens and enhance our public transportation system's overall efficiencies and reliability. Furthermore, we're excited to announce that by September, an additional 20 compressed natural gas (CNG) fuel buses will be added to the fleet through a joint arrangement with our valued private sector partners. This collaborative effort, Madam Speaker, demonstrates our commitment to sustainable transportation solutions and reducing our carbon footprints. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Justice has achieved substantially increased efficiencies within the court system due to the advent of uploading court documents digitally through the judicial case management system. The Ministry has moved forward with transitioning the court system into a digital age by allowing for hearings and court sessions to be held virtually. In addition, the Ministry has promoted the use of mediation and alternative dispute resolution mechanisms instead of utilizing the court system to achieve this. If the remit of this initiative is achieved, Madam Speaker, the court system will be significantly less burdened by an overwhelming number of cases. Furthermore, Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Justice has also given prosecutors the provisions to appeal to the relevant court if they believe sentencing for conviction is too lenient. In addition, the Ministry have also procured mobile units that will be used to facilitate remote testimonies in cases wherein witnesses are not able to travel to the relevant courts to do this. Furthermore, Madam Speaker, the Ministry has also implemented the Government Financial Management Service software, the GFMS, a system that is computerizing the accounting functions across the court so as to limit financial risk and irregularities, thereby increasing the accountability of the judicial system. Madam Speaker, the Legislative Production Management System, the LPMS, has been upgraded and revamped so as to allow for external ministries, departments and agencies to submit their legislation requests electronically to the Office of the Parliamentary Council more quickly and more efficiently. The Ministry has also increased the number of restorative justice centres, the RJCs, by locating branches in areas of Greenwich Town and Pembroke Hall. The availability of these restorative justice centres have also been further promoted in efforts to reduce, Madam Speaker, incidences relating to domestic violence and other disputes. Madam Speaker, in the first 11 months of 2022 to 23 fiscal year, approximately $253 million in grants were disbursed under the rehabilitation from the Ministry of Labour and Social Security. This financial assistance, Madam Speaker, has reached some 5,648 families, offering much-needed support during challenging times. The rehabilitation program has been proven to be an essential lifeline for those facing economic hardship, providing them with means to rebuild their lives and secure a brighter future. Additionally, Madam Speaker, then Minister Carl Samuda noted that the Special Economic Relief Program, the SCRP, has played a crucial role in addressing the economic distress faced by individuals not registered under the PATH program. Grants, Madam Speaker, totaling some $169 million were disbursed in nearly 17,000 individuals identified at the constituency level and who were experiencing economic challenge. Madam Speaker, you will recall that the Minister detailed, constituency by constituency, the number of beneficiaries, and I think that represents a very strong statement of commitment that we have to the poor and marginalized within our communities. This assistance, Madam Speaker, has undoubtedly provided a glimmer of hope and relief to those most in need. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Labour and Social Security through PATH has also committed its commitment to providing income support to vulnerable families. A remarkable $9.5 billion was allocated for income support during the fiscal year 2022 to 23, benefiting 130 families. Within this amount, approximately $2 billion was dedicated to back-to-school grants for PATH students, ensuring that they have the necessary resources to pursue their education. Madam Speaker, the government has successfully digitized the traffic ticket management system, incorporating electronic ticketing capabilities and ensuring, Madam Speaker, that the ticketing system in Jamaica is now reliable and can in fact become the deterrent that it ought to provide for abrogation of the rules and laws of managing the roads. This significant development, Madam Speaker, streamlines the traffic enforcement process and lays the foundation for more efficient public order enforcement. With this digital system, we can better manage traffic violations and optimize the use of fixed fine regimes, ensuring fair and effective enforcement nationwide. In our efforts to improve the working conditions of our dedicated police officers, our Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, the Honourable Dr. Horace Chang, noted that 6 new police stations were constructed. These fit-for-purpose stations, Madam Speaker, located in Shady Grove, Olympic Gardens, Buff Bay, Port Antonio, Mount Salem, and Green Acres, have been designed to enhance operational efficiencies and provide better facilities for law enforcement personnel. These stations will be ready for operation later this year, creating a conducive and modern working environment for our officers to effectively serve and protect our communities. Madam Speaker, the government remains committed to enhancing our national closed-circuit television CCTV surveillance program, known as Jamaican Eye. Recognizing the importance of comprehensive surveillance in maintaining public safety, we have expanded the network of cameras across the island. Over 860 government CCTV cameras have been installed in various townships, enabling better monitoring and crime prevention strategies. We will continue to invest in this critical infrastructure to strengthen our security apparatus and provide safer environments for our citizens. Furthermore, Madam Speaker, the government recognizes the value of body-worn cameras in law enforcement operations. To ensure transparency and accountability, we have allocated funds to procure an additional 1,000 body-worn cameras for the Jamaica Constabulary Force members during the upcoming fiscal year. These wearable recording systems will capture audio, video, and photographic evidence, enabling the documentation of law enforcement activities and supporting fair and just outcome. Our Minister of National Security, Madam Speaker, has been dedicated and committed to ensuring that the safety, security, and well-being of all Jamaicans at every nook and cranny of this country is secured under the programs of his ministry. Madam Speaker, I am pleased to announce that all farmers and fishermen in Jamaica now have increased insurance options to protect their lives and livelihood. We understand, Madam Speaker, the vital role that these hard-working individuals play in our agricultural sector, and we must provide them with the necessary tools and support to thrive in the face of challenges. The new offerings, Madam Speaker, include the GK General Insurance Weather Protect, a trigger-based microinsurance policy specifically designed to help non-salary income earners cope with the impact of extreme weather. Madam Speaker, this particular element of resilience is such a critical development, and I think it shows the concern, commitment, and sense of well-being that we are bringing to managing the affairs of small farmers in Jamaica today. Madam Speaker, this innovative policy, I think, lays the basis on weather conditions that we measure in each parish, ensuring that our farmers and our fishermen can receive the support they need when it matters most. And you know, Madam Speaker, those who are most vulnerable when there are weather disruptions are not the well-heeled, but are the small farmers with half an acre and 1 acre and 5 acres, who, when anything happens and there's flooding or there's any adverse weather condition, lose everything and have no cushion, and lose sometimes even their sense and their peace of mind. So this, Madam Speaker, furthermore, I think the Agriculture and Fisheries Ministry, the then Minister Pernell Charles, noted the expansion of the range of insurance products available to farmers and fishermen, covering areas such as life, health, and motorhome bundled insurance. Madam Speaker, this concept is one that, beyond farming, beyond agriculture, we would like to see in other sectors. This whole business of what is being called micro insurance, microfinance, and also, Madam Speaker, this ability to bundle, to enable affordability of even the smallest and poorest of our workers. And I make the point against the background that we made a similar call to our insurance providers, particularly for those workers who are in the lowest quartile of the employment stream and who are the most vulnerable when disruptions hit. and how we can find a way to make employers work with these insurance companies to create these bundles and to be able to provide affordable insurance, microinsurance for these workers. Madam Speaker, these insurance options, I think, are a testament to our commitment to the well-being and prosperity of our agricultural community. We recognize the risk and uncertainties they face, and through these initiatives, we seek to provide them with peace of mind and a safety net for their hard work. As we continue to build a stronger and more resilient Jamaica, we must ensure that no sector or individual is left behind. By supporting our farmers and fishermen with increased insurance options, we empower them to overcome adversity and continue to contribute to the growth and prosperity of our nation. Madam Speaker, the Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, the Honourable Olivia Babsy-Grange, announced during her presentation the bringing of positive news concerning the protection and well-being of our citizens. And then, Madam Speaker, this seems to reverberate in all of the presentations of our ministers, the theme of protecting the well-being of our citizens. And she stated that the long-awaited Sexual Harassment Act will come into effect on Monday, July 3. This significant piece of legislation, Madam Speaker, marks a critical step forward in addressing the issue of sexual harassment within the society. The Act is comprehensive in its scope, aiming to combat sexual harassment in various settings, including employment, institutions, and landlord-tenant relationships. It enables clear guidelines and standards to ensure that all individuals are afforded the right to work, to learn, to live in an environment free from harassment and intimidation. The coverage extends to workplaces, schools, correctional institutions, nurses' homes, medical facilities, ensuring, Madam Speaker, that no sector is exempt from its protections. In preparation for implementing this transformative law, the government has actively raised awareness among employees, employers, tenants, and landlords. Through targeted campaigns and educational initiatives, individuals have been informed about their rights and responsibilities under the Act. This comprehensive approach empowers our citizens with the knowledge necessary to prevent and address instances of sexual harassment effectively. Madam Speaker, furthermore, the government has taken proactive steps to establish robust mechanisms for investigating and resolving sexual harassment complaints. This includes the recruitment of trained investigators and the appointment of panels dedicated to handling each case. These measures ensure that survivors of sexual harassment have access to fair and impartial process, providing them with support and the resources needed to seek justice. These efforts, Madam Speaker, demonstrate the government's unwavering commitment to creating a safe and inclusive environment for all. By actively addressing the issue of sexual harassment, we are fostering a society built on respect, dignity, and equality. Implementing the Sexual Harassment Act underscores our dedication to eradicating this harmful behavior and creating a culture of accountability and protection. Madam Speaker, during the course of these presentations, it would be remiss of me to not recognize the valuable contribution and perspectives brought forward by members of the opposition in this Honourable House. It would, Madam Speaker, I would first like to acknowledge the significant proposals that have been put forward by a number of presentations from our members. And I could reference Member Brown-Burke, who eloquently highlighted the importance of decolonization and emphasized the need to raise awareness and pride in our Jamaican heritage. Her call for streets to be named, for example, for influential leaders such as Nyerere and Nkrumah and Lumumba and other notable figures, as well as influential African queens, resonates with the principles of inclusivity and the recognition of the rich history and contribution of our African forefathers. Madam Speaker, Member Phillips suggested a dedicated road maintenance fund to address road repair funding issues in Jamaica. He expressed concerns about relying solely on the consolidated fund and highlighted the abolition of road maintenance fund in 2017. He suggested the enhancement of public transportation infrastructure, including additional buses for JUTC, while acknowledging the plan to purchase electric buses to raise concerns about their inadequacies given the challenges needed by the Jamaica hilly road terrain. And I think these, Madam Speaker, among many others, Member Lisa Hanna emphasized the importance of thinking globally and pursuing new industries to enhance the lives of Jamaican citizens. Member Paulwell was very eloquent in making recommendations in relation to the electricity and the supplies and the reliability, and also the issue of alternative energy and the management of our facilities. Madam Speaker, we benefited from a number of very positive and strong recommendations and positions in health from Member Guy, as well as in medical wellness, tourism, casinos, creative arts, and potential areas for economic growth, which were highlighted by a number of our speakers. Madam Speaker, overall, as you know, it would take us into the rest of the evening to go through the extent of the contribution of all our members to this debate. But I want to close that section by really saying how very pleased we are that we ended up with a robust debate over the period with an enormous amount of quality contribution from members of this Honourable House. Madam Speaker, matters now pertaining to the business of the House. Madam Speaker, when it comes to the matters of the House, I am proud to report that because of your unswerving approach to the importance of the business which takes in this Parliament, you have been instrumental in ensuring that this Honourable House convenes promptly at 2 p.m. sharp at every session. And Madam Speaker, I feel particularly proud about this because I have been to several parliaments across the region. And some of our members, who I will indicate later on, have had the benefit of going to Parliament across the Commonwealth and even elsewhere. And I'm sure that in all the report, very few, if any, can counter the fact that this Parliament of Jamaica must stand in single digit among the parliaments of the world that start promptly on time at every sitting. Several members on both sides have also ensured that they are punctual, participate in the business of the Parliament, and remain in Parliament during the meetings. But I want to also indicate, Madam Speaker, that we want to improve this record of not just being able to say we start on time, but that we start in time with 63 members present at 2 p.m., and that is our objective. Madam Speaker, you may well be aware that there are a number of private members' motions on the order paper to be dealt with. And as such, Madam Speaker, greater attention will be given to this and other important matters on the order paper as we strive to progress and facilitate the work at hand. We have already looked at, Madam Speaker, how to organize and structure the program of work for the year, bearing in mind that the first quarter is usually committed to financial debates and the preparation for the budget, and then followed by the sectoral debates, which end sometime around June or so. Madam Speaker, it leaves us then with a period ahead of the recess for summer for us to move actively into these areas and to deal with the other matters on the order paper. The last session is usually dedicated, Madam Speaker, to the state of the constituency debate, which runs us often into the Christmas break. So, Madam Speaker, the effort in all of this is to ensure that the full period of Parliament is adequately utilized, but more so that there is greater involvement of the non-executive members of Parliament in the business of Parliament at hand. And we are going to be working with that, I think, when the Prime Minister has indicated his program shortly. Members will see how important it is going to be for us to pay more attention, in fact, to not just the business of the House, but we ourselves become more involved in ensuring that policies, programs, and plans of the executive are not only properly overviewed and full oversight is given to it, but also that we ensure that we become the guardian of that process. Madam Speaker, of worthy mention also is that the House convened 61 sessions during this period, Madam Speaker. And I think that this is important also for us to recognize that these sessions are going to increase in the coming period. There have been talk about a possible Thursday sitting. We're looking at that just to ensure that all the business of the House gets completed. The matter, of course, of committees, Madam Speaker, sessional committees. These committees have to meet and have to meet more vigorously and prosecute more effectively the bills and the legal arrangements that are before them. Madam Speaker, this summer recess will be very active because even though parliamentarians will be on a break, the Parliament administration will be involved in extensive work to return the chamber to its original form and to replace the existing microphones with cutting-edge technology systems. And this is very important, Madam Speaker. We do not want to ever have the embarrassment we had when the Prime Minister spoke in the budget presentation. And so the general renovation of the entire facilities here will take place over the summer break, and we will be looking at improving not only the interior of the chamber, but also the facilities around the chamber. And I think that those facilities members are very well aware of. There's better creature comfort to be had in utilizing some of those facilities that we have. Madam Speaker, we are looking also at boosting our staff complement. As reported in the sectoral debate last year, there is greater need for us to improve the staff here at the House of Parliament. At present, the management of the Parliament is engaged in reorganizing the parliamentary structure to recommend to the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service additional posts and the necessary staff to occupy these posts. Additional staff will ensure greatly that the work of Parliament is facilitated through more of the secretarial support for committees, for more legal support also. And we'll be working with the University of the West Indies graduate department to get some more of the interns to assist members in doing research so that they can make presentations that are fulsome and well-informed at every sitting of the Parliament. Madam Speaker, during the reporting period, parliamentarians as well as members of staff engaged in a number of in-person and virtual interparliamentary forums across the Commonwealth, and the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, which we are all involved in. Jamaica is a very active player in this, and we've seen a number of parliamentarians being exposed to the process and best practices in other parliaments across the region. And then there's also the Parliamericas program and the Organization of African, Caribbean, and Pacific States program, the Parliamentary Assembly and intersessional sessions and meetings of African, Caribbean, and Pacific, the EU Joint Parliamentary Group, and of course Jamaica continues to be represented in that forum. I think at one time Member Jackson used to be our representative, and now it is Member Heroy Clark who represents Jamaica. Madam Speaker, the establishment of the Women's Political Leadership Summit, the 71st Westminster Seminar and Conference of Speakers and Presiding Officers, all were opportunities to expose our parliamentarians to best practices and to sharpen their wits and their abilities to perform better in this honourable House. Also, Madam Speaker, the anticipated advanced professional development and skill building residency program in Edmonton, Canada and the regional CPA workshop for staff in Barbados are areas, again, that will offer opportunities for further development of our members. At present, Madam Speaker, the ACP EU representative and member for St. James Central is actually in Brussels, as you know, and he sent us a note to indicate the work that he's doing there, and we are proud of his job. Madam Speaker, this Parliament has the capacity and the capabilities to drive democracy at the highest level and to continue to be the bastion and guardian of the will of the people. And we intend to execute our responsibility to the fullest, not just in this term, but throughout our tenure. In closing, Madam Speaker, we have witnessed significant advancement in various areas, including education, health, infrastructure, public safety, and social welfare. Through strategic investment, policy reforms, and innovative initiatives, we have strived to uplift our nation and improve the lives of our citizens. As we look ahead to the rest of the fiscal year 23-24, we are determined to build upon these accomplishments and propel Jamaica towards greater heights. Our commitment to education and other sectors remain unwavering, with increased funding for school feeding programs, implementing restorative justice practices, and increasing land titles to foster economic empowerment. We will continue to invest in healthcare infrastructure, ensuring access to quality services and the completion of vital projects such as the Western Children and Adolescent Hospital and the Spanish Town Hospital. Furthermore, our dedication to public safety is exemplified by the modernization of our law enforcement agencies through digitization, improved facilities, and expanded surveillance systems. We are also cognizant of the importance of economic development, and we will foster growth by supporting local manufacturing, enhancing research and development capabilities, and promoting renewable energy sources. Madam Speaker, our vision for Jamaica is progress, prosperity, and inclusivity. We remain committed to ensuring that no one is left behind, that every Jamaican has access to opportunities, and that our nation thrives in an increasingly competitive global landscape. Together, Madam Speaker, let us enhance the challenges ahead. Let us be united in our resolve to build a brighter future for Jamaica land we love. Thank you. Yes. Madam Speaker, I beg to move for the recommittal of... Yes, the recommittal just after I have moved appropriately the closure of the debate. May it please you, Madam Speaker. Yes, we just did that.
Members, the question before you is that the motion brought by the House Leader be approved. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move for the recommittal of all the items that in my earlier motion I had sought to...
Members, the question is that we have the recommittal of the items starting statements by ministers. Statements by ministers, announcements.
Laid on the table of the House today are the following: Annual Report on Audited Financial Statements of the Development Bank of Jamaica for the financial year 2020-2021. Annual Report and Audited Financial Statement of the National Environment and Planning Agency for the year 2012-2013. Ministry Paper number 61 of 2023 entitled Annual Report of the National Environment and Planning Agency for the year 2012-2013. Ministry paper number 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, and 68, respectively, of 2023, entitled The Law Reform Zones of Special Operations, Special Security and Community Development Measures in respect of the Augustown community, the Greenwich Town community, the Denham Town community zone, the Norwood community zone, the Parade Gardens community zone, the Savannah Mar community zone, and the Mount Salem community zone. Social interventions for the period April 14, 2023 to June 15, 2023, dated June 15, 2023, respectively. The law reforms zones of special operations, special security and community development measures under the law reform zones of special operations, special security and community development measures Act 2017 in respect of the Savannah Mar zone, the Denham Town community zone, the Greenwich Town zone, the Mount Salem community and environs in the parish of St. James zone, the Parade Gardens zone, the Norwood community in the parish of St. James zone, and the Augustown zone. Extension of period of operation number 3, Order 2023, and their respective resolutions. The Bauxite and Alumina Industries Encouragement Relevant Concession Period Order 2023 and its resolution under the Bauxite and Alumina Industries Encouragement Act. The Electric Vehicle Policy dated June 2023. Green Paper number 3 of 2023 entitled Job Descriptions for Members of Parliament of Jamaica, dated June 20, 2023, and Ministry Paper number 69 of 2023 entitled Job Description of Ministers of Government, dated June 20, 2023.